Are you ready to take your intelligence to the next level and transform the way you think every single day? In this audiobook, How to Become Smarter Every Day, 10 Habits of Intelligent People, you will discover practical strategies that highly effective and intelligent people use to sharpen their minds, improve decision-making, and expand their understanding of the world. You'll learn actionable habits that can be applied immediately, from reading daily and asking questions, to solving problems creatively and teaching others to solidify knowledge. Each chapter is designed to guide you step by step, providing insights, exercises, and motivation so you can build lasting mental strength and clarity. The 10 chapters cover reading and questioning, focus, engaging conversations, reflection, mental challenges, tracking knowledge, curiosity, creative problem solving, minimizing distractions, and teaching others. Start applying these habits today, commit to consistent learning, and don't forget to subscribe for more tools to unlock your full potential. Number 1. Read daily. Question everything often. Reading is the foundation of intelligence. Every intelligent person understands that knowledge is not something that magically appears. It is something you actively seek, nurture, and refine. When you read daily, you are feeding your mind, stretching its capacity, and expanding the boundaries of what you understand about the world and yourself. Reading is not just about consuming words, it is about absorbing ideas, analyzing them, and allowing them to transform the way you think. A book is not a simple object, it is a portal to countless perspectives, experiences, and insights that you would never encounter on your own. The moment you commit to reading consistently, you begin to think differently. You start to see patterns, make connections, and notice subtleties that others miss. But reading alone is not enough. It must be paired with a questioning mind. Questioning everything does not mean doubting for the sake of doubt. It means engaging actively with ideas, challenging assumptions, and refusing to accept information passively. Intelligent people do not take words at face value. They dissect arguments, test claims, and evaluate evidence before forming their own conclusions. Every page you read is an opportunity to practice this skill. Instead of just absorbing information, pause and ask, is this true? How does this fit with what I already know? What assumptions are being made here? Could there be another perspective? This habit turns reading from a passive activity into an active exercise in critical thinking, sharpening your mind with each book, article, or essay you encounter. Reading daily also develops discipline. Setting aside time every single day to read is a commitment to self-improvement. It is easy to get distracted by the endless scroll of social media or the constant noise of daily life. Yet, when you prioritize reading, you are consciously choosing growth over distraction, depth over superficiality. Even 20 minutes of focused reading every day adds up over time. Imagine a year of this practice, hundreds of hours spent in concentrated learning, hundreds of perspectives absorbed, hundreds of ideas tested in the laboratory of your mind. The brain responds to this input. Neural pathways strengthen, memory improves, and reasoning becomes sharper. Reading is not merely an academic exercise, it is an investment in the quality of your thinking and the life you create. The choice of what to read matters. Reading for intelligence is not about chasing entertainment or momentary pleasure. It is about seeking materials that challenge, inform, and broaden your understanding. Non-fiction books, historical accounts, scientific research, biographies of remarkable people, philosophical treatises, and essays, all of these feed your intellect in ways that fiction or light reading cannot. That is not to say fiction has no value. Stories teach empathy, creativity, and emotional intelligence. However, when your goal is to become smarter, you need to engage with content that stretches your reasoning, challenges your biases, and introduces ideas that demand thought. When you finish a chapter, reflect on it. Summarize it in your mind. Ask yourself how you can apply the lessons learned. Challenge the author's claims. Make notes. This transforms reading from a passive pastime into a transformative tool for growth. Questioning everything is a skill that strengthens with practice. Start small by examining the assumptions in articles, videos, or conversations. When you hear a claim, don't accept it immediately. Ask, what evidence supports this? What evidence contradicts it? Who benefits if I believe this? What alternative explanations exist? This habit not only improves your intelligence, but also protects you from manipulation, shallow thinking, and misinformation. It teaches discernment, the ability to separate truth from opinion, insight from noise. Over time, questioning everything becomes second nature. Your mind becomes agile, skeptical, yet open. It begins to anticipate flaws in reasoning, identify gaps in arguments, and synthesize information more effectively. This is the hallmark of intelligent thought. Reading daily and questioning consistently go hand in hand. One without the other is incomplete. Reading provides input, but questioning converts that input into understanding. Without questioning, information remains static, untested, and superficial. Without reading, there is nothing to question. Together, they form a cycle of learning. Read, question, reflect, test, and integrate. Each loop of this cycle strengthens your mind and sharpens your judgment. You begin to notice subtle patterns in human behavior, historical events, and societal trends. You become capable of predicting outcomes, making wiser decisions, and contributing meaningful ideas in discussions. Practical application of this habit requires deliberate action. Schedule a consistent time for reading each day. It can be in the morning when your mind is fresh, during a quiet lunch break, or before bed when the day's distractions fade. Choose books and materials that challenge you intellectually. Keep a notebook or digital document for questions, insights, and reflections. When you encounter an idea, write down your thoughts, agreements, disagreements, and applications. Engage with other thinkers. Discuss what you read with friends, colleagues, or online communities. Articulate your questions and responses. Teaching or debating ideas further reinforces your understanding. Reading daily also cultivates patience and resilience. The intelligent mind does not demand instant understanding or gratification. Some texts are dense and challenging. Some ideas take time to digest. Perseverance in reading difficult material trains your mind to persist in the face of complexity. This mental discipline transfers to every other area of life. When problems arise, you approach them with calm, reasoned thought instead of impulsive reaction. Your ability to concentrate improves, and you learn to value depth over speed. Questioning everything encourages humility and curiosity. Recognizing that there is always more to learn, that your understanding is partial and imperfect, keeps the mind open. It prevents arrogance and fosters continual growth. Every time you challenge your assumptions or explore a new perspective, you expand your mental horizon. You begin to see the world not as fixed or simple, but as complex, layered, and rich with nuance. This perspective is not only intellectually liberating, but also emotionally grounding. It allows you to navigate life with confidence while remaining open to correction and new learning. Reading daily and questioning everything also strengthens creativity. When you expose yourself to diverse ideas and rigorously analyze them, your mind starts forming novel connections. You begin to see solutions others miss, spot opportunities, and generate insights that feel almost intuitive. Creativity is not a mystical gift. It is a natural byproduct of an engaged, disciplined, and curious mind. Reading widely and questioning critically fuels this process, making intelligence not just an accumulation of knowledge, but an active, dynamic force that shapes your decisions, actions, and innovations. Ultimately, the habit of reading daily and questioning everything is a practice of self-mastery. It trains attention, sharpens judgment, expands understanding, and builds resilience. It is an investment in your mind, your character, and your future. Every book you open, every question you ask, and every insight you extract brings you closer to the best version of yourself. This is how intelligence is cultivated, not through shortcuts, not through superficial learning, but through disciplined, consistent, and purposeful engagement with ideas. Commit to this practice, and your life will change. You will start seeing patterns where others see chaos, understanding where others remain confused, and opportunities where others see obstacles. Your conversations will carry weight because your thoughts are informed and refined. Your decisions will become wiser because they are grounded in knowledge and reflection. And most importantly, your mind will expand beyond its current limits, continuously growing, evolving, and adapting with every day that passes. Reading daily and questioning everything is not a task. It is a lifestyle. It is a declaration that your mind matters, that growth matters, and that the pursuit of understanding is a lifelong journey worth every ounce of effort. This habit lays the foundation for all other forms of intelligence, creativity, and personal mastery. Each day you engage with it, you become not only smarter but more capable, more disciplined, and more prepared to shape the life you truly want. The path to intelligence begins with one choice: to read, to question, and to never stop learning. Each moment spent in thoughtful reading is a moment invested in building a sharper, wiser, and more empowered mind. By making this habit a daily ritual, you transform the ordinary minutes of your life into extraordinary growth, creating a life defined not by chance, but by conscious, deliberate, and intelligent action. Number 2. Practice focus. Avoid mental clutter. Focus is the quiet power that separates those who drift through life from those who actively shape it. Every intelligent person knows that the ability to concentrate on a single task, thought, or idea without being pulled in 1,000 directions is more valuable than raw knowledge alone. Mental clutter is the silent thief of productivity, creativity, and clarity. It fills your mind with distractions, worries, half-formed thoughts, and unnecessary noise, leaving no room for meaningful insight or action. The moment you commit to mastering your focus and clearing your mental space, you are taking a decisive step toward becoming smarter, more effective, and more intentional with your time and energy. Concentration is not a natural state for most people. It is a cultivated skill. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Constant notifications, endless feeds, intrusive thoughts, and external demands. Each interruption chips away at your mental energy and erodes your ability to think deeply. Practicing focus means creating an environment and mindset where attention is respected and protected. Start by identifying what is truly important. Prioritize the tasks, goals, and ideas that deserve your full attention. Everything else, the trivial messages, idle browsing, or unimportant obligations, must be recognized for what it is: clutter that dilutes your mental capacity. Clarity begins with conscious choices about where your attention goes. One of the most practical ways to strengthen focus is to dedicate uninterrupted blocks of time to important work. Choose a task that requires thought and allow yourself to immerse fully in it. During this time, silence notifications, close unrelated tabs, and remove potential interruptions. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger with deliberate exercise. The more consistently you practice sustained attention, the easier it becomes to concentrate even under pressure. Over time, the brain begins to crave depth rather than distraction, and tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable because you are fully engaged with them. Avoiding mental clutter is equally critical. Mental clutter comes not only from external distractions, but also from internal noise, unprocessed thoughts, unresolved issues, and scattered intentions. A cluttered mind cannot think clearly, make smart decisions, or retain knowledge effectively. To combat this, make it a habit to externalize your thoughts. Journaling, note-taking, and planning are not trivial activities. They are essential tools to clear your mental space. By writing down tasks, ideas, and concerns, you free your mind to focus on what truly matters. Each idea placed on paper or digital note is one less thought vying for attention in your brain, leaving more room for critical thinking and creativity. Focus is further strengthened by establishing routines and simplifying your environment. Reduce the number of choices you must make daily, because each choice consumes mental energy. Streamline your workspaces, both physical and digital. Keep only what is necessary at hand. When everything is organized, your mind is unconsciously relieved from distraction. The brain functions best when it can anticipate patterns, understand the environment, and devote its resources to meaningful challenges. Chaos, on the other hand, constantly taxes the mind, leading to fatigue, mistakes, and shallow thinking. A disciplined approach to surroundings is a direct pathway to sharper, more productive thought. Practicing focus also requires training the mind to resist temptation. Multitasking is a myth that undermines intelligence. Attempting to juggle several tasks at once splits attention and diminishes the quality of every effort. The brain can process only one complex thought at a time effectively. By consciously dedicating attention to one task, idea, or goal at a time, you allow yourself to produce higher quality results and retain more information. This practice of singular focus also strengthens patience and perseverance, teaching the mind to engage fully without seeking constant novelty or stimulation. Awareness is a key aspect of mental clarity. Recognize the moments when your attention drifts, when you feel restless, or when you accumulate unnecessary mental noise. Pause, observe, and gently redirect focus to the task at hand. This discipline is not about harsh control or self-punishment. It is about mindful engagement. Every time you notice distraction and return your attention, you are training your brain to maintain presence. Each small act of focus builds a foundation for long-term mental strength. Over weeks and months, these moments accumulate, transforming your cognitive ability and your capacity to handle complexity. Meditation and mindfulness are powerful allies in reducing mental clutter. Even a few minutes a day of observing your thoughts without judgment can create enormous clarity. By practicing mindfulness, you learn to separate essential thoughts from background noise. You gain insight into your habitual thinking patterns, which often generate unnecessary stress or confusion. Through this practice, the mind becomes disciplined yet flexible, alert yet calm. The result is not only improved intelligence, but also a sense of control over your own mental life. Rest is equally important. A focused mind cannot function when it is exhausted. Mental clutter often builds when fatigue clouds judgment and memory. Adequate sleep, short breaks during tasks, and periods of relaxation allow the brain to consolidate information, make connections, and refresh its capacity for attention. High-functioning intelligence is not about working longer, it is about working smarter. A rested, uncluttered mind can solve problems more efficiently, think more creatively, and make wiser decisions. Clear thinking also comes from limiting exposure to unnecessary noise. Constantly absorbing media, gossip, or unfiltered opinions adds layers of mental clutter. While staying informed is valuable, consuming indiscriminate information fragments attention. Curate inputs carefully. Seek quality sources that challenge your mind and contribute meaningfully to your understanding. Replace passive consumption with active engagement. Ask questions, take notes, and analyze ideas rather than absorbing them blindly. This conscious control over information intake ensures that mental energy is used to expand intelligence rather than dissipate into trivial distractions. The benefits of practicing focus and avoiding mental clutter extend far beyond productivity. A focused mind develops insight, intuition, and strategic thinking. It sees connections and patterns where others see chaos. It reacts deliberately rather than impulsively. It becomes capable of deep learning, solving complex problems, and navigating life with confidence. Mental clarity is not a passive state, it is an active practice, a skill that grows stronger the more it is nurtured. By committing to these habits, you are shaping not only your intelligence, but your character, discipline, and ability to thrive in a complex world. Consistency is essential. Every day presents opportunities to practice focus and reduce mental clutter. Even brief moments of concentrated attention accumulate over time. Each deliberate choice to resist distraction and clear mental noise compounds into sharper reasoning, better memory, and stronger problem-solving. This is the essence of incremental growth. Small, consistent practices building profound long-term change. The mind, like the body, responds to repeated, purposeful training. Ultimately, practicing focus and eliminating mental clutter is a commitment to self-mastery. It is a recognition that your mind is your most valuable asset, and it deserves protection, exercise, and refinement. It is the foundation upon which all other habits of intelligence are built. The ability to think clearly, act decisively, and engage deeply with ideas transforms potential into action. It empowers learning, creativity, and meaningful achievement. By choosing focus, you reclaim control over your mind and your life, turning distraction into attention, chaos into clarity, and ordinary moments into opportunities for growth. A life devoted to focus and mental clarity becomes intentional. Each decision, each task, and each thought is measured against purpose and priority. The noise fades, the mind sharpens, and insight emerges naturally. This is not an abstract ideal. It is a practice, a discipline, and a daily commitment. As you cultivate focus and reduce mental clutter, your intelligence deepens, your judgment improves, and your capacity to navigate challenges expands. Every day spent in this practice strengthens your mental resilience and positions you for success in every area of life. Focus is the bridge between knowledge and wisdom. Mental clarity allows information to crystallize into understanding, and understanding transforms into action. Every minute invested in cultivating attention and clearing mental clutter is a step toward becoming smarter, more effective, and more self-possessed. This habit, maintained consistently, becomes a cornerstone of personal growth, shaping the way you think, learn, and live. Number 3. Engage conversations with diverse minds. Engaging in conversations with people from different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives is one of the most powerful tools for expanding intelligence. Knowledge does not grow in isolation. The human mind thrives when it is exposed to ideas that challenge assumptions, stretch understanding, and introduce new ways of thinking. Every discussion, when approached with openness and curiosity, becomes an opportunity to sharpen reasoning, refine beliefs, and develop deeper insight into the world. Intelligence is not measured solely by what you know, but by your ability to navigate, synthesize, and apply ideas effectively. Conversations with diverse minds accelerate this process in a way that solitary study cannot. When you interact with others who think differently, you are forced to confront the limits of your own perspective. This confrontation is essential because it illuminates blind spots, reveals biases, and challenges habitual thinking patterns. The mind often gravitates toward comfort, reinforcing familiar ideas while ignoring contradictions or alternative viewpoints. By engaging with people who hold different opinions, cultural experiences, or professional expertise, you disrupt this comfort. You step into mental environments where assumptions are questioned and ideas are tested. Each conversation becomes a mirror, reflecting areas where understanding is incomplete and highlighting opportunities for growth. The value of diverse conversations lies in their ability to expose you to problem-solving approaches that differ from your own. One person may approach a challenge analytically, another creatively, and yet another intuitively. Observing these different strategies teaches adaptability. When faced with a complex problem, you are better equipped to select the approach most likely to succeed, combine methods, or innovate entirely new solutions. Over time, the repeated exposure to varied thought patterns trains your mind to consider multiple angles before concluding, fostering cognitive flexibility and strengthening reasoning skills. Active listening is crucial to truly benefit from diverse conversations. Listening is not merely hearing words, it is the process of fully understanding context, intention, and meaning. When you listen attentively, you absorb nuances that might otherwise be lost. Each detail contributes to a richer understanding of how others think, why they make certain choices, and how their experiences shape their worldview. Active listening also builds rapport and trust, creating an environment where meaningful dialogue can flourish. The deeper the listening, the more profound the learning. Without this focus, conversations risk becoming superficial exchanges rather than catalysts for intellectual growth. Asking thoughtful questions enhances the impact of these interactions. Questions are the instruments of discovery. Instead of simply reacting to statements, probe for reasoning, evidence, and personal experience. Questions like, "What led you to that conclusion?" or "How would you approach this problem differently?" invite explanation and reflection. They also signal engagement, showing that you value the speaker's insights. Intelligent inquiry creates a dynamic exchange where both parties think more critically and articulate ideas more clearly. The habit of asking precise, meaningful questions transforms ordinary discussions into structured opportunities for learning. Conversations with diverse minds also cultivate empathy and emotional intelligence. Understanding perspectives different from your own requires imagination and openness. You are challenged to put yourself in someone else's position, to see the world through their experiences, and to recognize the reasoning behind choices that may initially seem foreign or illogical. This practice develops social intelligence, a key component of overall mental acuity. The ability to navigate human dynamics effectively, interpret intentions, and respond thoughtfully enhances decision-making, negotiation, and leadership skills. The mind that understands people understands the world. Another benefit of engaging with diverse thinkers is the expansion of vocabulary and conceptual frameworks. Different disciplines, cultures, and experiences use language and thought patterns in unique ways. Exposure to these variations increases the mental toolkit available for processing information and communicating ideas. Over time, your thinking becomes more precise, nuanced, and adaptable. Concepts that were previously difficult to grasp may suddenly become clear when explained from a perspective outside your usual sphere. This intellectual cross-pollination fosters creativity and equips you to tackle challenges with sophistication and depth. It is essential to approach these conversations with humility. Intelligence grows when you recognize that others can teach you as much, if not more, than you can teach them. Dismissing unfamiliar ideas or reacting defensively shuts down learning opportunities. Instead, adopt a mindset of genuine curiosity, where each discussion is a chance to test assumptions, refine knowledge, and expand horizons. The most intelligent individuals are those who seek understanding first and judgment second, who prioritize insight over validation. Humility transforms every conversation into a gateway for growth rather than a platform for ego. Practical strategies make engaging with diverse minds effective. Seek out communities, professional networks, or social circles that differ from your usual environment. Attend seminars, discussion groups, or online forums that challenge your thinking. When meeting someone new, approach the interaction with specific goals: to understand, to question, and to reflect. Take notes after conversations, capturing insights, questions, and ideas for further exploration. Reflecting on these interactions deepens retention and allows connections to form between disparate ideas, further strengthening mental agility. Intellectual courage is another essential aspect. Not every conversation will be comfortable. Encountering perspectives that contradict your deeply held beliefs can feel threatening. It is natural to resist discomfort, but embracing it is necessary for growth. When confronted with challenging ideas, listen fully, consider the evidence, and analyze before reacting. Courage allows you to hold space for opposing views without feeling diminished or defensive. Each experience strengthens resilience, broadens understanding, and deepens cognitive maturity. The mind grows strongest when it faces, rather than avoids, complexity. Engaging with diverse minds also reinforces critical thinking. When exposed to conflicting viewpoints, your brain is forced to evaluate the validity, reliability, and applicability of each argument. It must compare evidence, analyze logic, and integrate new insights with existing knowledge. This process cultivates discernment and mental clarity. Over time, your judgments become more refined and your conclusions more reasoned. Exposure to diverse perspectives acts as an intellectual stress test, ensuring that beliefs and decisions are robust, well-founded, and resilient under scrutiny. Conversations with varied thinkers foster adaptability in real-world problem-solving. Life rarely presents situations that fit neatly into a single framework or familiar approach. By practicing dialogue with people who think differently, you learn to anticipate diverse reactions, negotiate multiple interests, and innovate solutions that account for complexity. This flexibility is a hallmark of high intelligence. It allows you to respond effectively under uncertainty, make decisions that consider multiple variables, and execute strategies that others may overlook. Engaging with diversity in thought equips you for the unpredictable and the challenging. Ultimately, regular interaction with diverse minds is not about winning arguments or proving superiority. It is about growth. It is about stretching the limits of your understanding, sharpening reasoning, and expanding the breadth of your knowledge. Each conversation becomes a stepping stone toward a more flexible, insightful, and capable intellect. By exposing yourself to the unfamiliar, challenging assumptions, and embracing complexity, you cultivate a mind that is not only smart, but also wise, adaptive, and resilient. The habit of seeking out diverse perspectives requires intentionality. Make it part of your daily or weekly routine to connect with someone whose ideas differ from yours. Approach these conversations with curiosity, respect, and openness. Treat disagreements as opportunities rather than threats. Over time, the accumulation of insights, strategies, and understandings from varied interactions will transform the way you think, problem solve, and perceive the world. The depth of your intelligence is proportional to the diversity of ideas you are willing to engage with. Engaging conversations strengthen memory and comprehension. Explaining ideas, debating concepts, and articulating your reasoning requires mental organization. The act of verbalizing thought solidifies neural pathways, improving retention and recall. Similarly, listening carefully to others reinforces comprehension, as your mind organizes and integrates new information with existing knowledge. The combination of speaking and listening in meaningful dialogue accelerates learning far beyond passive study alone. Every interaction with a diverse thinker is a training ground for mental growth. Each story, each challenge, each perspective you encounter contributes to a richer, more nuanced understanding of life and intellect. These experiences sharpen judgment, broaden empathy, and strengthen cognitive flexibility. The cumulative effect of consistent engagement is profound. A mind that is alert, resilient, and capable of navigating complex problems with insight and creativity. Engaging conversations are a pathway to lifelong intelligence. By embracing the ideas, experiences, and reasoning of others, you transform every interaction into an opportunity for learning. The mind becomes richer, sharper, and more adaptable, capable of tackling challenges that would overwhelm a narrower perspective. The habit of seeking out and valuing diverse voices is a cornerstone of sustained intellectual growth, ensuring that your intelligence continues to evolve, deepen, and expand over time. Number 4, reflect deeply on daily experiences. Reflection is the quiet engine behind meaningful growth. Every day presents a series of events, decisions, and interactions, each carrying lessons that are easy to overlook when the mind is moving too quickly. Intelligent people understand that experience alone does not guarantee learning. It is the act of pausing, analyzing, and extracting insight from daily moments that transforms ordinary life into a continuous education. Reflection allows the mind to consolidate understanding, recognize patterns, and identify areas for improvement. Without it, knowledge remains fragmented, and opportunities for growth slip by unnoticed. The process begins with attention. To reflect deeply, you must first notice the events of the day. Observing your actions, reactions, successes, and failures with clarity is crucial. This means slowing down enough to identify what occurred, how you responded, and what consequences followed. It is not about judgment or self-criticism, but about objective examination. By examining moments carefully, you begin to understand the underlying motivations, triggers, and patterns that shape your behavior. The ability to see clearly without distortion is a hallmark of mental maturity. Emotional awareness is an integral part of reflection. Every day carries emotional experiences, frustration, joy, excitement, disappointment, that influence thinking and decision-making. Reflecting deeply involves recognizing these emotions and understanding their impact. How did anger affect your response? Did excitement cloud judgment? Did fear hold you back? By linking emotions to outcomes, you gain insight into your internal patterns, enabling more deliberate responses in the future. Emotional intelligence, cultivated through reflection, strengthens judgment, improves relationships, and enhances problem-solving abilities. Reflection requires honesty. It is easy to gloss over mistakes, justify missteps, or celebrate successes without analyzing what led to them. True learning occurs when you confront the truth of your choices and behaviors without distortion. Ask probing questions. What did I do well today? Where did I falter? What assumptions did I make? What would I do differently next time? Honest answers provide clarity, reveal blind spots, and create a roadmap for continuous improvement. The mind sharpens as it learns to see reality clearly, unclouded by ego or denial. Journaling is a practical tool that amplifies reflection. Writing about daily experiences forces the mind to organize thoughts, articulate observations, and draw connections. It transforms fleeting impressions into structured insight. A few minutes each evening spent recording events, reactions, and lessons can illuminate patterns that are otherwise invisible. Over time, these records become a personal archive of growth, a source of wisdom, and a guide for future decisions. The act of writing engages the brain actively, making reflection more deliberate, concrete, and transformative. Reflection also involves analyzing decisions and outcomes critically. Examine successes not merely to celebrate them, but to understand the factors that led to positive results. Likewise, dissect failures not to dwell on them, but to extract actionable lessons. What choices created favorable results? What mistakes repeated themselves? How can strategies be refined for better outcomes? This analytical approach strengthens reasoning, improves judgment, and creates a habit of learning from every experience, turning life itself into a laboratory for personal growth. Patterns and connections emerge through sustained reflection. Daily habits, recurring challenges, and repeated behaviors all reveal themselves over time. By observing these trends, the mind begins to predict outcomes, adjust strategies, and anticipate consequences. Reflection turns experience into data, data into insight, and insight into intelligence. It develops foresight, the ability to respond effectively before situations escalate, and the capacity to make decisions grounded in understanding rather than impulse. The reflective mind becomes a mind trained in anticipation and adaptation. Silence and solitude are essential conditions for reflection. The constant noise of modern life, messages, notifications, media, and social interactions interferes with the mental space needed to process experiences. Setting aside intentional time for quiet contemplation allows the mind to sift through events, emotions, and thoughts without distraction. Even brief periods of solitude each day provide the mental clarity necessary for deep examination. This practice strengthens attention, enhances self-awareness, and reinforces the habit of deliberate thinking, which is foundational to intelligence. Reflection should also extend to relationships and social interactions. Every conversation, conflict, or collaboration carries lessons about communication, perception, and influence. Analyze how interactions unfolded, what was effective, what caused friction, and how empathy was applied. Understanding the dynamics of human behavior enriches both social intelligence and decision-making. Observing others and your own responses creates a feedback loop that refines judgment and improves interpersonal skills, enhancing the ability to navigate complex social situations with wisdom and insight. The habit of reflection builds resilience. By examining challenges and setbacks, you develop strategies to handle future adversity more effectively. Reflection transforms mistakes from obstacles into opportunities for growth. It fosters a mindset that views difficulty as information rather than judgment, creating confidence in the ability to adapt and improve. Resilience is cultivated not through avoiding struggle, but by understanding and learning from it. The reflective mind interprets challenges as data points, not verdicts, empowering intelligent action under pressure. Integration is a critical outcome of reflection. Lessons from one experience can often inform entirely different areas of life. A decision-making pattern in work may illuminate a strategy for personal goals. Emotional responses in social situations may reveal habits affecting professional judgment. Reflecting deeply allows the mind to connect these threads, creating a holistic understanding that enhances intelligence. Integration ensures that learning is cumulative and applicable rather than isolated and transient. The reflective individual synthesizes knowledge from diverse experiences into practical wisdom. Practical application of reflection involves consistency. Dedicate time each day to examine actions, thoughts, and outcomes. Ask questions that challenge assumptions, identify patterns, and reveal insights. Keep notes that capture lessons, ideas, and observations. Periodically review past reflections to track growth, recognize recurring themes, and refine strategies. Over time, this disciplined approach creates a feedback loop of continuous improvement, turning each day into a source of knowledge, skill, and self-mastery. Reflection enhances decision-making by clarifying priorities. When you consistently analyze experiences, you become aware of what truly matters, what aligns with your values, and what distracts from meaningful goals. This clarity allows the mind to act decisively and efficiently. It reduces second-guessing, limits impulsive choices, and strengthens confidence. The reflective habit transforms daily experiences into a compass for intelligent living, guiding actions with purpose, awareness, and foresight. Ultimately, reflecting deeply on daily experiences is a practice of self-mastery. It transforms ordinary routines into opportunities for growth, elevates understanding beyond immediate observation, and cultivates the capacity for insightful action. The mind becomes sharper, more adaptable, and more resilient. Patterns emerge where chaos once seemed pervasive. Decisions gain clarity. Emotions are understood rather than uncontrolled. Reflection turns living into deliberate learning, making each day a building block in the construction of intelligence, character, and wisdom. Reflection is not passive, it is active engagement with life as it unfolds. Each day offers raw material for thought, each moment a chance to analyze, each interaction a lesson. By committing to this practice consistently, you transform fleeting experiences into lasting insight, creating a life where knowledge is not merely accumulated, but applied. The reflective mind interprets reality accurately, anticipates consequences intelligently, and acts with purpose, shaping both character and destiny. The act of reflecting deeply cultivates patience. Understanding takes time, and insight often emerges gradually. Intelligence grows when the mind is allowed to digest, connect, and synthesize experiences thoughtfully. By embracing patience, the reflective individual avoids rash decisions and superficial conclusions, allowing understanding to unfold fully. The process trains the mind to value depth, accuracy, and deliberate action over speed and superficiality, producing a higher quality of thought and reasoning. Through reflection, every day becomes a teacher. Challenges, successes, interactions, and observations are all data to process, analyze, and learn from. The individual who cultivates this habit gains the ability to navigate life with precision, foresight, and wisdom. Reflection is the bridge between experience and understanding, transforming the ordinary into insight and creating a life where intelligence is actively built, refined, and applied. Number 5. Exercise brain with challenging tasks. The human brain is designed to grow when it is tested. Every intelligent person knows that comfort and ease rarely produce progress. Mental strength, creativity, and problem-solving ability emerge only when the mind is pushed beyond familiar limits. Engaging in challenging tasks exercises the neural pathways, strengthens cognitive flexibility, and develops the capacity to handle complexity. The process is similar to physical training. Muscles grow when subjected to resistance, and the mind sharpens when presented with tasks that demand concentration, strategy, and innovation. Without challenge, thinking becomes shallow, reactive, and limited. By deliberately seeking mental difficulty, you create opportunities to expand intelligence, resilience, and insight. Challenging tasks come in many forms, but the key is that they require effort, persistence, and focus. Problems that cannot be solved immediately, concepts that stretch comprehension, and situations that demand careful analysis are all exercises for the mind. These challenges stimulate growth, because they require active engagement rather than passive absorption. The brain responds to difficulty by forming new connections, improving memory, and enhancing reasoning ability. A task that feels uncomfortable or intimidating is often exactly what your mind needs to evolve. Consistency is essential. Just as sporadic exercise produces limited physical results, irregular engagement with challenging mental tasks yields minimal cognitive improvement. Daily or regular practice strengthens neural pathways, improves focus, and develops endurance for complex thinking. Even small but consistent mental challenges accumulate over time, producing profound long-term effects. The key is to create a routine where your brain is regularly engaged with tasks that demand attention, analysis, and creativity. Problem solving is a cornerstone of brain exercise. Each challenge presents an opportunity to practice reasoning, strategy, and evaluation. When faced with a difficult problem, break it down into manageable components. Analyze each part, consider alternatives, and anticipate consequences. Testing different approaches sharpens judgment and enhances adaptability. Over time, the ability to approach complex problems systematically becomes instinctive, making even unfamiliar challenges more approachable. Mental agility is developed through repeated engagement with such problems, not through passive observation or idle contemplation. Learning new skills is another form of cognitive exercise. Picking up a musical instrument, mastering a language, or exploring coding are examples of tasks that stretch the mind in multiple directions. These activities stimulate memory, attention, and creative thinking simultaneously. Unlike routine tasks, new skills demand adaptation, error correction, and deliberate practice. Each attempt strengthens neural pathways and reinforces the brain's ability to process information efficiently. The more varied and challenging the skills, the broader the mental capacity you develop. Critical thinking exercises are equally valuable. Tasks that require evaluating information, comparing perspectives, and making decisions under uncertainty train judgment and reasoning. Activities like analyzing data, debating ideas, or constructing logical arguments create mental strain that fosters growth. The brain is stimulated when it must organize information, weigh alternatives, and defend conclusions. Challenging tasks of this nature improve clarity of thought and reduce susceptibility to superficial reasoning, reinforcing intelligence that is practical, precise, and adaptable. Creativity is enhanced through challenges that require unconventional thinking. Tasks that do not have obvious solutions compel the mind to explore multiple angles and generate novel approaches. Brainstorming complex scenarios, designing projects, or solving abstract puzzles all encourage flexible thinking. By regularly exposing the brain to problems without predefined answers, you cultivate the ability to innovate under pressure. Creative intelligence is not innate. It is exercised and strengthened by tackling mental challenges that demand original thought and experimentation. Attention and focus are reinforced through sustained engagement with difficult tasks. Complex challenges require full concentration, preventing distraction and superficial engagement. The mental discipline developed through this practice extends beyond individual tasks, enhancing learning, comprehension, and productivity in all areas of life. The brain becomes more efficient at filtering irrelevant information and directing resources to areas that matter, increasing the depth and quality of thought. Reflection on challenging experiences amplifies growth. After completing a difficult task, take time to evaluate the process. What strategies worked? What mistakes were made? How could approaches be improved? This reflection consolidates learning, turning isolated effort into lasting insight. The combination of challenge and reflection ensures that mental exercise produces not only temporary engagement, but permanent cognitive development. Every challenge analyzed and understood adds to a growing repository of skill and understanding. Persistence is fundamental. Challenging tasks often provoke frustration, self-doubt, or failure. These reactions are signals of growth rather than obstacles. The mind strengthens not by avoiding difficulty, but by enduring it. Each attempt, even when unsuccessful, stimulates learning and adaptation. Resilience develops as the brain confronts complexity and navigates uncertainty. Over time, the ability to persist through mental difficulty becomes instinctive, creating confidence in your capacity to handle future challenges. Diverse challenges produce broader intelligence. Engaging the mind across multiple domains, mathematics, literature, science, strategy, and creativity prevents narrow thinking. The brain thrives on variety, and exposure to different types of problems strengthens multiple cognitive faculties simultaneously. Tackling a range of mental exercises ensures that the mind is versatile, adaptive, and capable of synthesizing knowledge from multiple sources. Broad exposure to challenging tasks accelerates overall intelligence and prepares the mind for unpredictable real-world scenarios. Time management is critical in approaching challenging tasks. Difficult mental exercises require sustained effort and cannot be rushed. Allocate focused periods to engage with complex problems, ensuring that distraction is minimized and energy is concentrated. Scheduling deliberate cognitive work prevents burnout and enhances efficiency. By treating mental challenges with structure and discipline, the brain is given optimal conditions for growth, and learning becomes both intensive and sustainable. Curiosity drives engagement with challenging tasks. The mind grows when it is motivated by genuine interest and desire to understand, rather than obligation or external pressure. Approach each task with a mindset of exploration. Seek to understand underlying principles, uncover patterns, and discover unexpected connections. This intrinsic motivation amplifies cognitive development, making effortful engagement feel purposeful rather than burdensome. The combination of curiosity and challenge produces a powerful engine for mental growth. Collaboration can enhance the effectiveness of challenging tasks. Working with others who bring different skills or perspectives forces the mind to adapt, learn, and problem-solve collaboratively. Discussions, feedback, and shared problem-solving expose gaps in understanding, highlight alternative approaches, and provide insights that may be missed in solitary effort. Engaging in mental challenge within a social context combines the benefits of difficulty with the richness of diverse thought, accelerating intelligence and developing internal cognition simultaneously. Tracking progress reinforces motivation and highlights growth. Maintaining records of challenging tasks completed, problems solved, or skills learned provides tangible evidence of improvement. Seeing incremental gains reinforces persistence, encourages continued effort, and transforms abstract mental growth into measurable achievement. This practice also identifies areas that require further focus, ensuring that cognitive development is strategic and intentional rather than random or haphazard. Ultimately, exercising the brain through challenging tasks is a commitment to self-mastery. Intelligence is cultivated through effort, discipline, and deliberate engagement with difficulty. The mind becomes sharper, more flexible, and capable of handling complexity. Challenges teach patience, problem-solving, creativity, and resilience. Each mental struggle produces growth, and each success reinforces confidence. The habit of seeking out cognitive difficulty ensures that intelligence is not static, but dynamic, continually expanding and refining itself. Engaging the brain in consistent, deliberate challenge transforms thinking from reactive to proactive. The mind learns to anticipate problems, generate solutions, and adapt under pressure. It develops the ability to manage uncertainty, analyze deeply, and act decisively. Intelligence, in this sense, becomes not merely a collection of knowledge, but a practiced, refined skill, a product of regular effort, reflection, and persistence. By prioritizing challenging tasks as part of daily life, you build a mental framework capable of navigating complexity, making informed decisions, and innovating consistently. The brain, like the body, grows stronger with exercise, and every demanding task completed adds to a foundation of enduring cognitive power. Each step outside comfort zones, each problem wrestled with, and each solution discovered contributes to sharper reasoning, enhanced creativity, and a deeper understanding of both the world and yourself. The pursuit of mental challenge is a lifelong commitment. Intelligence is not a fixed trait. It is an evolving capacity shaped by effort, curiosity, and the willingness to embrace difficulty. The brain flourishes when it is consistently pushed beyond familiarity, confronted with complexity, and exercised with purpose. By integrating challenging tasks into daily life, you cultivate a mind that is resilient, adaptable, and capable of mastering whatever situations life presents, transforming potential into practical wisdom and actionable intelligence. Number 6. Track knowledge. Review lessons regularly. The process of becoming smarter is not just about acquiring information. It is about retaining it, organizing it, and applying it effectively. Knowledge without structure quickly fades, and lessons without reflection are easily forgotten. Every intelligent person understands that the mind has limits, and to maximize its potential, conscious systems must be established to capture, track, and review what is learned. This habit transforms fleeting insight into lasting understanding and ensures that progress is cumulative rather than sporadic. When knowledge is tracked and lessons are revisited regularly, the mind becomes not only sharper but also more efficient, able to draw on a growing repository of information with precision and speed. Tracking knowledge begins with awareness. Pay attention to what you are learning in every context: books, conversations, lectures, personal experiences, or observations. Each moment contains material worth remembering if approached thoughtfully. The first step is to actively capture this material, either digitally or on paper. A journal, notes app, or organized system of folders can serve as a repository where ideas, facts, and insights are stored. By externalizing knowledge, the brain is freed from the burden of memorizing every detail, allowing more energy to focus on analysis, integration, and application. Consistency is crucial. The act of recording knowledge must be performed regularly, ideally as a daily practice. Even brief notes taken at the end of the day accumulate into a substantial body of information over time. What seems minor, in isolation, a single insight, a new concept, a reflection on an interaction, can become invaluable when combined with other entries. Regular tracking ensures that nothing is lost in the flood of daily experiences, and that learning is captured at the moment it is freshest. This habit turns passive exposure into active acquisition. Reviewing lessons is equally important. Knowledge that is stored but never revisited stagnates. Regular review strengthens memory, reinforces understanding, and reveals patterns that may have been missed initially. The mind processes repetition, not as redundancy but as reinforcement, solidifying connections between concepts and making them more accessible for problem-solving or creative application. Scheduling periodic review sessions daily, weekly, or monthly ensures that learning remains alive, adaptable, and interconnected rather than fragmented. Organizing knowledge enhances its utility. Raw information is not intelligence until it is structured. Categorize ideas according to themes, relevance, or application. Create systems that allow quick retrieval, comparison, and integration. This organization supports faster thinking, deeper insight, and better decision-making. When faced with a problem, you can draw from a well-organized mental and external library rather than scrambling to piece together fragments. Structure transforms scattered data into a coherent foundation for reasoning and action. Reflection magnifies the benefits of tracking knowledge. After recording and reviewing, consider how the information applies to your life, goals, and challenges. Ask questions. What patterns emerge? How does this insight change my perspective? How can I implement this learning effectively? Reflection converts stored knowledge into applied wisdom. It is through repeated analysis and integration that intelligence grows, not just quantitatively, but qualitatively, turning accumulated facts into practical insight and strategic thinking. Learning from mistakes is an essential aspect of this process. Every failure, misjudgment, or unexpected outcome carries lessons that are often overlooked, if not consciously examined. Document mistakes along with the insights gained from them. Review these lessons regularly to ensure that errors are not repeated and that the strategies for improvement are internalized. The intelligent mind treats failures as data points, not as setbacks, and uses them to refine understanding, sharpen judgment, and build resilience. Progress tracking also fuels motivation. Seeing the accumulation of knowledge over time creates a sense of achievement and reinforces the habit of deliberate learning. Visual indicators, lists of completed readings, summaries of learned skills, or logs of problem-solving exercises serve as tangible evidence of growth. This tangible progress reinforces consistency, encourages further engagement, and fosters a sense of control over personal development. The combination of tracking and reviewing transforms learning into a measurable, empowering practice. Adaptation is another key advantage. Knowledge alone is insufficient in a changing world. It must be reviewed and updated regularly. New information, insights, or shifts in context can alter understanding. By revisiting lessons periodically, the mind remains current, adaptable, and prepared to apply relevant knowledge to evolving situations. Stagnant knowledge is of little value. Dynamic intelligence requires constant engagement, reflection, and revision. Regular review ensures that your mental framework evolves alongside circumstances, maintaining relevance and strategic effectiveness. Active retrieval strengthens understanding. Simply reading or recording information is not enough. Testing your memory, explaining concepts in your own words, or applying ideas in practical scenarios reinforces retention and comprehension. The act of recall forces the brain to reconstruct knowledge, making neural connections stronger and more flexible. Combining active retrieval with periodic review solidifies understanding and transforms raw information into enduring competence. This practice develops confidence, reduces cognitive overload, and enhances the ability to apply knowledge effectively under pressure. Tracking knowledge fosters synthesis. As information accumulates, connections emerge across disciplines, experiences, and observations. Patterns that are invisible in isolation become apparent when compared systematically. The mind begins to integrate insights, generating new understanding that is greater than the sum of its parts. This synthesis enables creative problem-solving, innovative thinking, and strategic foresight. The habit of regularly reviewing accumulated knowledge encourages the mind to see relationships, recognize causality, and anticipate outcomes with increasing accuracy. Collaboration enhances this practice, sharing knowledge with others, discussing lessons learned, and seeking feedback provides alternative perspectives that deepen understanding. Peer insight can reveal gaps, offer new interpretations, and refine strategies for applying knowledge effectively. By combining personal reflection with external input, the mind gains a richer, more nuanced understanding, accelerating growth beyond what solitary study can achieve. Discipline is fundamental. Tracking knowledge and reviewing lessons requires consistent effort and a commitment to long-term growth. It demands prioritization, attention to detail, and persistence. The practice is not glamorous, and results are gradual, but the cumulative effect is profound. Over time, a well-maintained repository of knowledge becomes a strategic advantage, enhancing reasoning, judgment, creativity, and decision-making. The disciplined learner develops not just intelligence, but mastery over thought itself. Practical tools support the habit. Digital applications, notebooks, mind maps, or voice recordings can capture insights in ways that suit individual preferences. Tagging, categorizing, and summarizing facilitate retrieval. The goal is not to create unnecessary complexity, but to ensure that knowledge is accessible, organized, and actionable. A simple system consistently used can be more powerful than an elaborate framework used inconsistently. What matters is the habit, the deliberate act of recording and revisiting knowledge as a continuous cycle. Ultimately, tracking knowledge and reviewing lessons regularly is a form of self-mastery. It transforms the mind into a living repository of insight, ready to analyze, create, and act with precision. Each recorded idea, every revisited lesson, and every integrated insight strengthens reasoning, deepens understanding, and enhances decision-making. Intelligence grows not by chance but through intentional, consistent, and deliberate practice. By making this habit central to daily life, the mind becomes sharper, more agile, and capable of navigating complexity with skill and confidence. The combination of accumulation, reflection, and application produces cumulative growth. Every day contributes to a larger structure of understanding. Patterns are recognized, mistakes corrected, and wisdom refined. The mind becomes capable of connecting disparate ideas, anticipating challenges, and making informed choices with clarity. The process of tracking knowledge and reviewing lessons transforms ordinary learning into lasting intelligence, producing a life defined by insight, deliberate action, and continuous improvement. Consistency ensures that the habit produces lasting impact. A single day of reflection or note-taking is useful, but the power lies in repetition. The daily practice of recording insights, revisiting lessons, and integrating learning creates a feedback loop that continually reinforces mental acuity. Over weeks, months, and years, this habit produces profound intellectual growth, making intelligence a living, dynamic capability rather than a static possession. By committing to track knowledge and review lessons regularly, the mind becomes a finely tuned instrument. Every insight captured, every lesson examined, and every connection made strengthens reasoning, enhances creativity, and improves decision-making. Intelligence is cultivated deliberately, systematically, and continuously, producing a mind capable of understanding, adapting, and thriving in any context. This habit transforms learning from a passive activity into a structured, intentional, and empowering practice that builds enduring cognitive strength, resilience, and wisdom. Number 7. Embrace curiosity. Learn something new. Curiosity is the spark that fuels intelligence. Every day, opportunities to expand understanding are all around, waiting to be noticed, explored, and absorbed. Intelligent people do not settle for routine or surface-level knowledge. They actively seek to uncover new ideas, skills, and experiences. Embracing curiosity is not simply about accumulating facts. It is about developing a mindset that questions, explores, and challenges assumptions continuously. When curiosity is practiced deliberately, learning becomes a natural, ongoing process, transforming ordinary life into a rich environment for growth. Curiosity begins with noticing what is unfamiliar. Every experience, conversation or observation contains elements that can be explored further. Pay attention to the questions that arise naturally. Why does this work this way? How did that happen? What would change if I approached this differently? These questions are not distractions, they are invitations for the mind to expand. The habit of questioning turns passive observation into active investigation, prompting deeper engagement with the world. Learning something new requires both openness and humility. Curiosity demands admitting that there are things you do not know, and that it is acceptable to be inexperienced or uncertain. Intelligence grows when the mind is willing to explore beyond comfort zones, encounter complexity, and embrace challenges without ego interference. Approaching learning with humility ensures that curiosity is genuine rather than performative. The focus shifts from impressing others to understanding, discovering, and mastering new ideas. Practical application of curiosity begins with small, consistent steps. Commit to learning something different every day. This could be a new word, a skill, a perspective, or an idea. Each incremental discovery builds momentum and creates a culture of learning in your daily life. Even minor additions to knowledge compound over time, strengthening memory, analytical capacity, and problem-solving ability. Small, regular acts of curiosity produce long-term intellectual growth that is sustainable and impactful. Exploration beyond familiar territory is crucial. Limiting curiosity to areas you already know restricts growth. Intelligent individuals seek experiences that challenge assumptions and broaden perspective. Reading books outside your usual genres, engaging with people from different cultures, learning skills unrelated to your profession. Each venture stimulates neural growth and expands the mind's adaptability. Exposure to diverse ideas and practices strengthens reasoning, encourages flexible thinking, and enhances the ability to synthesize knowledge across disciplines. Experimentation is a key component of curiosity. Learning something new is not merely theoretical, it involves testing ideas, practicing skills, and applying knowledge. Attempting new tasks, even imperfectly, produces insight that cannot be gained from passive observation. Trial and error, when approached thoughtfully, builds resilience, problem-solving skills, and practical understanding. The act of experimenting reinforces memory and deepens comprehension, transforming knowledge into usable intelligence. Curiosity also requires attentive observation. Pay close attention to details, patterns, and processes. Notice how systems work, how people respond, and how outcomes unfold. Observation enhances learning because it provides the raw data necessary to analyze, understand, and innovate. The curious mind constantly observes, compares, and questions, turning everyday experiences into a rich source of insight. Observation combined with active inquiry accelerates understanding and strengthens mental acuity. Documentation amplifies the benefits of curiosity. Recording discoveries, insights, and questions ensures that new knowledge is retained and revisited. A journal, notes app, or personal database allows the mind to track learning progress and reflect on growth over time. Reviewing these records highlights patterns, uncovers areas for further exploration, and reinforces memory. Capturing curiosity in action makes learning deliberate, organized, and cumulative, turning ephemeral insight into structured intelligence. Persistence is essential for meaningful exploration. Curiosity often leads into areas that are initially confusing or difficult. The intelligent individual does not abandon a subject because it is challenging. Instead, they persist, researching, asking questions, and testing understanding until clarity emerges. This persistence develops patience, deepens comprehension, and strengthens the ability to tackle complex problems in the future. The habit of enduring intellectual difficulty transforms curiosity from a fleeting interest into a sustained engine of growth. Engaging with others enhances curiosity. Conversations with diverse individuals expose you to ideas, experiences, and perspectives you may not encounter independently. Asking questions, discussing topics, and seeking feedback expands understanding and challenges assumptions. The combination of active listening and inquiry accelerates learning, encourages critical thinking, and stimulates intellectual flexibility. Social curiosity not only enriches knowledge, but also improves empathy, communication skills, and emotional intelligence, which are critical for holistic intelligence. Application of new learning is vital. Knowledge remains dormant unless it is tested and integrated into life. Implementing new skills, applying concepts in real scenarios, or experimenting with insights strengthens understanding and builds confidence. Practical application transforms abstract ideas into concrete competence, creating a feedback loop where curiosity leads to mastery, and mastery, in turn, encourages further curiosity. The brain thrives when learning is active rather than passive. Curiosity fuels creativity. By seeking new experiences, perspectives, and information, the mind is supplied with raw material for innovation. Connections emerge between previously unrelated ideas, solutions appear to problems that once seemed unsolvable, and strategies for improvement develop naturally. A curious mind does not merely react, it imagines, constructs, and innovates. Intelligence is amplified when curiosity drives both knowledge acquisition and creative application. Discipline enhances curiosity. Random exploration produces some growth, but deliberate, structured curiosity maximizes impact. Allocate time for intentional learning, plan areas of exploration, and track discoveries. A disciplined approach ensures that curiosity produces consistent progress rather than sporadic insight. When curiosity is combined with routine, it transforms from occasional wonder into a sustainable pathway for intellectual development and self-improvement. Mindset is critical. Curiosity thrives in an environment of openness, adaptability, and receptivity. Avoid rigid thinking or premature judgment. Approach new topics with the willingness to reconsider assumptions, challenge beliefs, and integrate new understanding. The growth mindset allows the mind to embrace uncertainty as an opportunity rather than a threat, fostering resilience, flexibility, and enduring intelligence. Reflection strengthens the impact of curiosity. After exploring a new idea, skill, or perspective, take time to analyze what has been learned. How does it connect to existing knowledge? What applications are possible? What further questions arise? Reflection consolidates insight, transforms knowledge into practical wisdom, and guides future exploration. The combination of curiosity, exploration, and reflection produces continuous mental expansion and refined understanding. Curiosity promotes lifelong learning. The mind that is curious never stagnates because there is always something new to explore, question, or master. Each day offers opportunities to investigate ideas, develop skills, and broaden understanding. This habit ensures that intelligence is dynamic, continuously evolving, and resilient in the face of change. The person who embraces curiosity is not limited by age, circumstance, or existing expertise. Growth continues as long as the mind remains engaged. Ultimately, curiosity transforms life into a continuous journey of discovery. Every interaction, challenge, and observation becomes an opportunity for learning. The act of seeking new knowledge develops attention, reasoning, creativity, and adaptability. It cultivates humility, resilience, and mental agility. Embracing curiosity ensures that intelligence is not static, but active, deepening with each question asked, skill acquired, and insight integrated. A life guided by curiosity produces not only knowledge, but wisdom, equipping the mind to navigate complexity, solve problems, and innovate with confidence. Number 8. Solve problems creatively and consistently. The ability to solve problems is one of the most defining traits of intelligence, but true mastery comes not only from finding answers, but from approaching challenges with creativity and consistency. Problems are inevitable in life. Some simple, some complex, but the mind that is trained to address them methodically while thinking outside conventional frameworks develops strength, adaptability, and insight. Creativity and consistency are complementary. Creativity generates solutions that are innovative and effective, while consistency ensures that problem-solving becomes a habitual skill rather than a sporadic reaction. Combining these qualities transforms obstacles into opportunities and uncertainty into clarity. Problem-solving begins with clear observation. Understanding the nature of a challenge is essential before attempting solutions. Break the problem into its components, identify the key variables, and recognize the constraints that shape outcomes. Many people react impulsively without fully grasping the scope of a challenge, which limits the quality of their solutions. By carefully analyzing the situation, observing patterns, and collecting relevant information, the mind develops a foundation for intelligent action. Awareness and clarity form the first step in the creative process. Creative problem-solving requires questioning assumptions. Often, challenges appear insurmountable because thinking is confined to habitual patterns. Intelligent minds resist the temptation to accept limitations at face value. Ask what-if questions. What assumptions am I making? Could there be an alternative approach? What solutions have not yet been explored? By challenging established patterns, the mind opens to new possibilities. Creativity thrives when conventional boundaries are examined and redefined. Each question expands perspective and allows the discovery of strategies that would otherwise remain hidden. Consistency is what converts creative insight into reliable skill. It is not enough to occasionally solve a problem innovatively. Regular engagement with challenges, big or small, develops mental endurance and sharpens judgment. Daily practice in identifying problems, proposing solutions, and evaluating outcomes reinforces neural pathways associated with reasoning, decision-making, and critical thinking. Over time, the brain becomes naturally equipped to approach problems systematically while maintaining flexibility, allowing for intelligent responses under pressure. Diverse approaches enhance creativity. No single method applies to all problems, so exposure to multiple strategies broadens the mental toolkit. Researching different problem-solving frameworks, learning from case studies, and observing how others tackle challenges all expand the range of possible solutions. This diversity trains the mind to recognize patterns across contexts and apply insights from one domain to another. Creative intelligence grows when the brain has access to varied techniques and can combine them in novel ways. Experimentation is essential to develop effective solutions. Solutions cannot always be predicted with certainty. Testing, adjusting, and iterating are part of the process. Trial and error strengthens reasoning because it forces the mind to analyze results, learn from mistakes, and refine approaches. Every attempt, whether successful or not, contributes to understanding and equips the brain for future challenges. The practice of experimentation fosters resilience, adaptability, and confidence in one's problem-solving ability. Analytical thinking complements creativity. After generating possible solutions, Evaluate each option critically. What are the strengths, weaknesses, risks, and potential outcomes? Analyzing solutions objectively ensures that creative ideas are not simply fanciful, but practical and effective. Creative problem solving is most powerful when paired with reasoned judgment, allowing imaginative approaches to be implemented successfully and consistently. The combination of imagination and analysis produces intelligent solutions that are both innovative and reliable. Breaking problems into smaller, manageable components is a consistent habit of intelligent problem solvers. Large or complex challenges can feel overwhelming, but dividing them into parts clarifies steps, priorities, and dependencies. Addressing each element systematically, while remaining open to creative approaches for each component, prevents paralysis and promotes progress. Small, deliberate actions accumulate into comprehensive solutions, ensuring that even the most difficult problems are navigable. Consistency also involves reviewing outcomes. After implementing solutions, evaluate their effectiveness. What worked as expected? What could have been done differently? This feedback loop strengthens future problem-solving capabilities, reinforcing patterns of effective reasoning and creativity. Reflection turns each challenge into a learning experience and cultivates adaptive intelligence, preparing the mind for increasingly complex situations. Without review, lessons remain superficial and growth is limited. Collaboration strengthens problem-solving skills. Engaging with others exposes you to different perspectives, methods, and insights that expand creative potential. Discussing challenges and brainstorming solutions introduces approaches you may not have considered independently. Social interaction encourages flexibility, encourages critical evaluation, and strengthens communication skills. Intelligence grows when collaborative problem-solving becomes a consistent practice, combining individual creativity with collective insight. Curiosity fuels innovative solutions. The mind that constantly questions, explores, and seeks understanding approaches challenges with flexibility and originality. Every problem becomes an opportunity to experiment, analyze, and discover new methods. Curiosity encourages the exploration of unconventional options, uncovering solutions that may be overlooked by habitual thinking. The practice of curiosity-driven problem-solving ensures that the mind remains adaptable, inventive, and equipped to navigate complexity with sophistication. Time management enhances consistent problem-solving. Complex challenges require focused attention, uninterrupted thinking, and the patience to consider multiple perspectives. Allocating deliberate periods to address problems without rushing ensures thorough analysis, creative exploration, and thoughtful decision-making. Consistent practice with time discipline strengthens concentration, reduces errors, and allows for more deliberate, intelligent solutions. Resourcefulness amplifies creative problem-solving. Intelligence is demonstrated not only by the ability to identify solutions, but also by the effective use of available tools, knowledge, and networks. Assess what resources exist, explore unconventional applications, and leverage opportunities to maximize impact. The creative mind does not rely solely on standard methods. It adapts, improvises, and optimizes. Resourcefulness, practiced consistently, transforms limitations into advantages and enhances problem-solving capacity. Persistence is crucial. Challenges rarely yield immediate success, and some solutions require repeated effort to implement effectively. Intelligent problem solvers do not abandon tasks when initial attempts fail. Instead, they analyze, adjust, and continue. Persistence strengthens resilience, deepens understanding, and reinforces mental discipline. Over time, the habit of facing problems repeatedly cultivates confidence, ensures mastery over complexity, and trains the mind to act decisively under uncertainty. Learning from past challenges accelerates future problem solving. Every difficulty overcome provides templates for approaching similar issues. Analyze prior experiences to identify strategies that worked, errors to avoid, and lessons that can be generalized. This cumulative knowledge makes the mind increasingly adept at tackling new problems, reducing effort, and increasing efficiency. Consistent application of past learning ensures that intelligence grows, not just in capacity, but also in speed and effectiveness. Embracing ambiguity is part of creative problem solving. Not every challenge presents clear solutions, and some require navigating uncertainty with judgment and imagination. The intelligent mind tolerates ambiguity, experiments with alternatives, and remains flexible. Comfort with uncertainty enhances creativity, encourages exploration, and prevents paralysis by analysis. Each ambiguous situation mastered strengthens adaptive intelligence and equips the mind to handle complex real-world scenarios. Ultimately, the combination of creativity and consistency produces mastery. The intelligent mind approaches problems not as obstacles, but as opportunities for insight, growth, and innovation. Creative thinking generates solutions that are original and effective, while consistent practice ensures that problem-solving becomes a refined skill applied reliably across contexts. By cultivating these habits, challenges become platforms for learning, decision-making improves, and the ability to innovate under pressure becomes second nature. Regularly exercising this approach transforms intelligence into action. Every problem solved with creativity and consistency enhances cognitive flexibility, strategic thinking, and confidence. The habit builds resilience, sharpens reasoning, and develops adaptive skills that extend beyond individual problems into broader life challenges. Life itself becomes a laboratory for applying intelligence, experimenting with solutions, and refining strategies. By solving problems creatively and consistently, the mind evolves into a tool capable of navigating complexity with skill, innovation, and precision. The combination of imagination, analysis, persistence, and review ensures that challenges are met not with panic or indecision, but with deliberate action, thoughtful strategy, and inventive insight. Intelligence becomes active, practical, and dynamic, shaping both decisions and outcomes in ways that foster growth, mastery, and long-term success. Number 9. Limit distractions. Prioritize thoughtful learning. The ability to learn effectively is not determined solely by intelligence, but by the quality of attention we give to the material, the clarity of thought we maintain, and the deliberate choices we make to avoid mental interference. In a world saturated with notifications, noise, and constant demands, the mind is pulled in countless directions every day. Each distraction erodes focus, fragments thinking, and diminishes the depth of understanding. Prioritizing thoughtful learning requires not just effort, but intentional structuring of time, space, and energy to ensure that the mind is fully engaged when it encounters new information or revisits previous lessons. Limiting distractions is the foundation upon which consistent intellectual growth is built. Thoughtful learning begins with a conscious assessment of priorities. Not every piece of information holds equal value. Intelligent individuals make deliberate choices about what to study, explore, and engage with deeply, avoiding the temptation to chase every interesting but trivial detail. This focus allows the mind to allocate its finite cognitive resources effectively, leading to mastery rather than shallow familiarity. By establishing clear priorities, learning becomes purposeful and directed rather than random and reactive, creating an environment conducive to concentration, is essential. Physical surroundings, technological tools, and social contexts all influence the ability to focus. A quiet, organized space minimizes external interruptions, while digital boundaries, turning off notifications, limiting social media use, and setting designated periods for checking messages, protect the mind from constant fragmentation. Reducing environmental noise is not about rigidity, but about designing conditions that optimize the brain's capacity to absorb, analyze, and synthesize information. Time management is a core component of thoughtful learning. Deep engagement requires uninterrupted periods of focus. Structuring learning sessions with defined start and end times allows the mind to enter states of sustained attention. Short, fragmented attempts at learning often lead to superficial understanding and rapid mental fatigue. By allocating concentrated blocks of time, followed by brief intervals for rest, the mind can maintain clarity, consolidate information, and strengthen memory. Consistency in these sessions ensures cumulative progress. Mindful awareness of internal distractions is equally important. Thoughts, worries, and mental clutter can pull attention away from learning. Practices such as reflection, journaling, or brief meditation can help clear the mind, creating a mental state conducive to deep absorption. Recognizing when focus drifts and gently redirecting attention strengthens self-discipline and allows learning to occur at a higher quality. Thoughtful learners develop the habit of monitoring their own attention as diligently as they manage external distractions. Active engagement enhances the quality of learning. Instead of passively reading, listening, or observing, the mind should interact with the material, asking questions, making connections, summarizing key points, and applying concepts to practical situations, all deepen understanding. Active engagement requires mental effort and prevents the superficiality that comes from distracted, multitasked learning. It ensures that knowledge is internalized rather than fleeting. Simplicity and clarity in study methods amplify learning outcomes. Overloading the brain with excessive information or juggling multiple topics at once dilutes focus and retention. Intelligent learners choose depth over breadth when circumstances demand it, engaging with concepts fully before moving to the next. This disciplined approach strengthens comprehension, memory, and the ability to apply knowledge creatively. Consistently prioritizing thoughtful study over scattered consumption produces enduring intellectual gains. Limiting distractions is also a social and technological challenge. Many interruptions come from well-meaning individuals, social obligations, and constant digital connectivity. Setting boundaries, communicating availability, and designing periods of intentional isolation for learning protects mental resources. Consistent practice of these boundaries conditions both the mind and the environment to respect focused work, turning distraction avoidance into a habitual behavior that enhances cognitive efficiency. Reflection amplifies learning. After each session of focused engagement, reviewing what has been learned consolidates knowledge, identifies gaps, and reinforces understanding. Reflective review allows the mind to integrate insights into broader mental frameworks, connecting new information with prior experience. This process transforms isolated learning episodes into a coherent structure of understanding, ensuring that intellectual growth is cumulative and strategic rather than fragmented. Prioritizing thoughtful learning also involves selective curiosity. The mind must distinguish between interesting distractions and meaningful exploration. Curiosity should be guided by purpose, focusing on areas that enhance skill, understanding, or practical application. This balance between curiosity and discernment ensures that attention is devoted to valuable pursuits rather than dissipated on inconsequential matters. Consistently making these choices strengthens judgment and sharpens cognitive priorities. Persistence reinforces the benefits of concentrated learning. Deep comprehension often requires returning to difficult concepts multiple times, reviewing and integrating ideas gradually. The mind develops endurance through repeated engagement, and comprehension deepens with every iteration. By consistently limiting distractions and maintaining deliberate focus, even the most challenging material becomes accessible, and the habit of thoughtful learning strengthens over time. The rewards of limiting distractions and prioritizing thoughtful learning extend beyond knowledge acquisition. Focused attention improves reasoning, enhances memory, and strengthens problem-solving skills. The mind becomes disciplined, agile, and capable of sustained intellectual effort. Deep learning promotes confidence, reduces mental fatigue, and fosters the ability to handle complex information with clarity. By managing attention deliberately, intelligence grows not only in quantity but in quality, producing understanding that is actionable and reliable. Limiting distractions encourages creativity. When attention is uninterrupted, the mind has the space to connect ideas, identify patterns, and generate solutions. Random interruptions fragment thinking and prevent insights from forming. Consistent focus allows the brain to explore relationships between concepts, synthesize information, and innovate naturally. Thoughtful learning provides the fertile environment in which intelligence flourishes and creative problem-solving emerges. Accountability enhances this habit. Tracking learning progress, setting goals, and reviewing achievements reinforce consistent engagement. Small, measurable milestones provide feedback, sustain motivation, and create a sense of control over intellectual development. The combination of accountability and focused practice ensures that learning is not passive or aimless, but deliberate, disciplined, and effective. Ultimately, limiting distractions and prioritizing thoughtful learning transforms the mind into a tool capable of precision, adaptability, and deep insight. Intelligence is not a product of passive absorption, but of intentional effort, focus, and reflection. Every moment spent engaged in deliberate, uninterrupted learning strengthens neural pathways, sharpens reasoning, and increases the ability to synthesize, analyze, and innovate. By cultivating this habit, the mind becomes resilient, disciplined, and capable of mastering complex information consistently. Number 10. Teach others to solidify understanding. The act of teaching is one of the most powerful tools for strengthening intelligence. Knowledge that is not shared often remains shallow and fragmented. Teaching forces the mind to clarify concepts, organize information, and translate understanding into actionable explanation. It transforms passive familiarity into deep comprehension, requiring the mind to anticipate questions, address gaps, and communicate ideas effectively. Every skilled teacher knows that preparing to explain a topic exposes weaknesses in understanding, prompting refinement, synthesis, and mastery. Teaching begins with preparation. Before attempting to explain a concept to others, review the material thoroughly. Identify core principles, supporting details, and potential misunderstandings. Organizing knowledge in this way not only improves the clarity of teaching, but also strengthens the internal structure of understanding. The mental effort required to prepare transforms learning from passive accumulation into active mastery, reinforcing memory and comprehension. Engaging with learners stimulates critical thinking. Questions from others often reveal gaps or ambiguities in understanding that might have gone unnoticed. Responding requires reasoning, adaptation, and precise communication. The process of answering inquiries deepens knowledge by forcing reflection, comparison, and contextualization. Teaching transforms learning into a dynamic exchange, where intelligence is exercised through articulation and problem-solving rather than passive reception. Simplifying complex ideas is essential for effective teaching. To explain a concept clearly, it must be understood deeply enough to distill into its essence without losing meaning. This refinement strengthens mental organization and ensures that knowledge is coherent and accessible. The process of simplification reveals subtleties in understanding and reinforces the neural connections that support long-term retention and application. Consistency in teaching enhances retention. Regularly sharing knowledge, whether through mentoring, discussions, or written explanations, reinforces concepts continuously. Repetition in teaching consolidates understanding, transforms learning into habitual skill, and enhances the ability to apply knowledge across diverse contexts. The practice of teaching creates a feedback loop where knowledge is continuously tested, refined, and solidified. Teaching also cultivates communication skills. The ability to convey ideas clearly, adapt explanations to different levels of understanding, and engage learners strengthens cognitive flexibility. Effective teaching requires considering multiple perspectives and anticipating questions, which sharpens reasoning, empathy, and strategic thinking. These skills contribute not only to intellectual growth, but also to practical success in interpersonal and professional contexts. Application of knowledge is enhanced through teaching. Explaining ideas to others often reveals real-world relevance, practical implications, and creative applications. The process transforms theoretical understanding into actionable intelligence. By teaching, learners internalize knowledge more effectively, because they must integrate facts, insights, and methods into coherent frameworks that can be transmitted accurately. Reflection solidifies learning further. After teaching, reviewing how explanations were received, what questions arose, and what points were misunderstood, provides insight into areas needing further study. This reflection strengthens the mind's ability to retain and apply knowledge. Teaching transforms learning into an active, iterative process where understanding deepens with each interaction. Collaboration in teaching enhances mutual growth. Learning alongside others, facilitating discussions, or guiding problem-solving creates an environment where ideas are tested, refined, and expanded collectively. The teacher's intelligence is exercised by adapting to different learning styles, addressing diverse challenges, and fostering comprehension in others. This reciprocal process amplifies understanding and encourages continuous intellectual engagement. Confidence grows through teaching. The ability to articulate complex concepts clearly and effectively reinforces self-assurance in one's knowledge. This confidence further motivates continued learning, as the mind recognizes both strengths and areas for growth. Teaching becomes a cycle of reinforcement, preparation, explanation, reflection, and mastery, where understanding grows deeper with every iteration. Ultimately, teaching transforms knowledge into wisdom. It forces clarity, deepens comprehension, and strengthens application. By sharing insights with others, intelligence becomes active, dynamic, and resilient. The habit of teaching ensures that learning is not confined to memory, but becomes integrated, usable, and continuously refined. Every explanation offered and question addressed adds to both the learner's and teacher's cognitive development, solidifying understanding and creating lasting mastery.